Hello everybody, my name is X Factor. New Battlefield title, new armor style. This goes back as far as I can remember in the Battlefield franchise. Every time a new title comes out, there are tweaks to armor, how it works, their mechanics. We're going to be breaking down some of those. And of course, the infantry side. Now, how do you deal with that armor? And the key to Battlefield 1 so far is adapting. Learn the new mechanics, utilize what you have at your disposal, and you'll find that armor is actually really easy to deal with. Now, of course, if they're sitting on the outside of the map, kind of sniping around, sure, they're going to be clipping some people. They're going to be getting a couple kills. But in the world of Battlefield 1, thanks to them rebalancing the team play initiative, they're not really capping flags. They're not really racking up the points. So I'm going to do my best in a losing effort here to challenge, defend, and attack as many flags as possible, explaining some of the mechanics and what's going on from an armor and infantry aspect. Tanks used to be feared in the Battlefield franchise. Battlefield 3 was probably when they were at their strongest. You had something called Reactive Armor, and there's 4 sides to the tank. Each tank had its own side. It would take a shot from an RPG, another tank, and it would eat that Reactive Armor off, and you wouldn't take any damage. The next shot to that piece of armor would take some damage, but then you could get out, you could repair whatever side was damaged. So essentially, you could take 4 different shots if you're rotating your tank before you took any damage. Now, tanks did have unlimited ammo. Then, of course, they had the canister style quick switching. I used to be a professional tanker in Battlefield 3, and used to be able to shoot your primary, a split second later, switch to your canister shell, and just dome somebody across the map. They'd be picking pellets out of their teeth. The thing had disgusting range, but they slowly balanced that so you couldn't quick switch things anymore, making some of the other choices, you know, something that was competitive. So that was probably when they were at their height of just destruction. It'd take multiple engineers that were very clever to deal with armor. Battlefield 4 came along, they watered tanks down quite a bit. They did not have unlimited ammunition, and even if you were a tank going against 2 tanks or an LAV in a tank, you had proper positioning, you were pillaring behind cover, you weren't taking damage, you did not have enough ammo to deal with the situation. You would probably lose if they pushed you, let alone a little infantry in between your reload. So in Battlefield 1, they've changed a ton. Number 1, you have to worry about your reload. You actually have to hit R on the PC to start your reload, and it can be interrupted by certain things. So when do you really do that? Do you go into a fight with just 2 shots, knowing that if you try to pull off another shot, it cancels that reload? So there's this whole other dynamic, not to mention the new disabled dynamic. So there are 3 different types of piece of armor in Battlefield 1. The light tank, which you see here, you can rotate the turret all the way around, great field of view, kind of limited on the vertical side of things once you get going. But the heavy tank and the land ship are extremely limited, and this is important because to understand how to beat them, you have to understand how they work. As the primary gunner of the land ship, the driver, you have an MG and you can only shoot forward, very limited degree. Now, I'm actually disabled right here. My tracks are down, and they're down again. Why? Because they interrupted basically my ability to repair. So that makes tanks very easy to deal with once they get disabled. So both with the land ship and the heavy tank, the only damage they could do is if you're in front of them. It's a very limited field of view or angle of destruction. So if you get on their sides and they're disabled, or you disable them and run around, there's not much they could do until they start jumping out, or infantry really help. I say this all the time. Armor is only as strong as the infantry around it. But in Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, previous Battlefield titles, there's different disable mechanics, but you can still rotate your turret. Again, with the heavy tank and the land ship, you can't rotate. You can still move your MG around, or your cannon for the heavy tank, or your scatter cannon, but that's it. You have that very limited thing. So one thing that a lot of people do not understand is when something becomes disabled, you just have to stop them auto-repairing. As that circle is going around, as you guys see me start that manual auto-repair, it can be stopped. A normal grenade, a K-bullet, an artillery shell, an AT rocket, anything that does damage to armor can stop that. So here's the key. You see a tank? Just get on it, and everybody has something to use to deal with armor. I run around with my assault class, the engineer, let's say, the guy that's got all the solutions for the armor in the game. I run around with an extra light tank grenade. That's key. So I have 2 of the anti-tank grenades, and I have 1 light tank. That is a ton of damage up close and point blank, not to mention the AT rocket. It's something other people forget to talk about is the artillery. It's scattered all across the map and does big time damage. Yes, you can one-shot biplanes out of the sky, but it does a ton of damage to the heavy and the land ship. So you could do up to 35 damage on all sides to the land ship with the artillery, and there's actually 1 up here by A. And then on the light tank, it does up to 45 damage. You're talking about the ability to 3-shot the heavy tank and the land ship take the same damage along with the light tank. That's all 3-shot. And again, if you're the guy that's doing damage and stopping them from doing the auto repair, like you see right there, you simply hold X. If I take damage at any point in time, including right now, it stops that. Not to mention, you want to start your reload before that goes, because you can have your reload and your repair going at the same time. And that's a little bit of a dink of a K bullet, which could stop it. So it stopped it right there. I manually stopped it the first time, didn't stop it the second time. So what happens to these tanks that push it on flags? There's massive choke points. Now, when you get your anti-tank grenades out, I've seen tanks, including myself, die in a couple frames. 2 or 3 of these grenades are coming down on you, not to mention all the stuff that's going on visually on your screen. It's extremely hard to see when you're first person, when your crosshair is actually accurate, unlike when you're sitting in third person, where it's not a true representation of where the shot is actually going to fall. So here's the key. Understand the mechanics. Use your K bullets, use the artillery, and make sure you deal with tanks when they get in kill zones. Spread out as your assault class. Start equipping some of the light anti-tank grenades as your other classes, and watch how quickly the tanks simply disappear. Yes, they could still snipe across the map. Yes, they could still pick you off, but are they really helping their team? What's more effective with that piece of armor? Rolling on points, defending or attacking, or sitting back sniping? This game is all about the PTFO now, especially with the new point system works. There is a high reward for capping and defending flags, getting kills while attacking and defending said flags. And there's really not much in it for just killing across the map. So now that you guys understand all the mechanics to not only hurt a tank, but keep it disabled, preventing it from actually repairing itself, what do you guys think? Do you guys still think they're too strong? Do you think they're just right? Do you think they need a little bit of loving? And how would you fix them based on what your opinion is on those 3 previous choices? I personally think tanks are in a good state. They should be feared. And I think the infantry will slowly learn how to deal with them and gang up. Remember, every class has a way to deal with tanks. Some have multiple ways to deal with tanks. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you guys soon.